like to call to order our December 5th meeting of the Clearwater City Council. Our invocation this evening will be offered by Pastor Jonathan Thacker from the New Destiny Worship Center. Pastor? And our pledge will be led by Mr. Kunda.
Thank you, Mr. Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we praise you today for your goodness and your faithfulness to us. We pray for your divine direction to cover this meeting tonight. Your word tells us that your ways are above our ways and your thoughts above our thoughts, as high as the heaven is above the earth. We ask that you would grant your wisdom, knowledge, and direction to the men and women who will deliberate here tonight. May their decisions be guided by honesty and integrity and objectivity. Enable them to be courageous and have boldness to do that which is right, regardless of the consequences or pressure to do otherwise. We pray, place our hearts and minds in your hands. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, thank you for joining us this evening. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you, sir, and to the congregation. To our extreme left is our Deputy City Clerk, Nicole Sprague, who's sitting in for Rosemary Call, who is out ill today. Then welcome back Pam Aiken, our City Attorney.
Good evening.
Okay, our Council Member Hoyt Hamilton.
Good evening.
And Council Member David Albrecht.
Good evening.
To my right, Council Member Jay Poglaze.
Hello.
Council Member Bob Cundiff.
Hi, folks.
Our City Manager Bill Horn.
Good evening.
And our Assistant City Manager Michael Maxwell.
Good evening.
Our first order of business is to have a report from our Environmental Advisory Board. This is its annual presentation, and Chairman Jared Leone and his assistant will be coming forward. I didn't mean John Thomas when I said his assistant. I meant his other assistant. But John, you can come down too.
This is Jeeves. Yeah.
Hi.
You wanna introduce-
John Thomas, the Vice Chair of the Environmental Advisory Board.
And Jared Leon, Chair of the Environmental Advisory Board. Thanks for having us here tonight. As we look toward 2020, the Environmental Advisory Board discussed myriad issues affecting the environment, including septic tanks, trash receptacles, alternative energy, and solar use, green building practices, and tree removal. Before looking forward, let's look at some of our board's recent success. For 2 years, the board discussed single-use plastics, polystyrene, plastic bottles, and other trash. These discussions culminated in developing Resolution 18-08, which was unanimously passed by the City Council in 2018. The resolution spurred Ocean Allies, a nonprofit group which works to help businesses become ocean-friendly. The city also plans to eliminate these single-use trash items from future city special events. In 2018, we focused on the need for a sustainability coordinator to help the city focus on resiliency efforts and update Greenprint, the city's sustainability plan. Earlier this year, the city hired its first sustainability coordinator. Our board serves as an extension of the City Council. Our objective is to provide citizen insight to city leaders and staff on environmental activities within and affecting the city of Clearwater. A fairly broad yet narrow focus. We are an advisory board, but what influence do we or residents have on projects or initiatives that have an environmental impact if plans are in place or projects are already completed? At what point should city projects or other initiatives come before our board? Is there even a requirement for them to? The Environmental Advisory Board requests to be informed about project specifics at the 60% plan phase on projects identified as environmentally significant by appropriate staff, which could include the sustainability coordinator, a representative from environmental engineering, and stormwater engineering. We have an engaged board and a group of citizens who provide valuable insight. As resiliency, sustainability, and quality of life issues related to the environment continue to impact our community, our board should be receptive, flexible, and considered a valuable partner as projects, plans, and initiatives move forward. As the city continues to work on and tackle large capital improvement and other projects, let's consider how our board can contribute to make Clearwater bright and beautiful. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much to you and all the members for the work that they do. I don't know whether y'all noticed, but I saw in the paper or online today that the city of St. Petersburg adopted an ordinance regarding laterals. Dave Porter is here, and that might be something that we need to look at a little further to say that the homeowner is responsible for the laterals and actually bring fines to them if they don't make the necessary repairs.
Yes, sir. I believe that's something John has talked about.
Good.
Yeah, we've been focusing on some of the systems that have not been connected to the city's.
Yeah, very good. Thank y'all.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much,
it.
sir.
Gary,
Yes, sir.
can we have just send me a copy of that report?
Yes, sir. Will do.
Would-
Yeah, no problem.
The email's fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
terrific.
Thank you.
Thanks. Council, our second presentation this evening will be from Ed Chesney, our Marine and Aviation Director, and Patricia Rodriguez from Clearwater Ferry Services.
Hello, Tricia Rodriguez with Clearwater Ferry. Thank you so much for having me. We are very pleased to share some updates with you since the last time we met was in December. First, as you can see in front of you, we gave you a sheet that kind of runs down these numbers. We have had an online system that allows us to survey all of our riders and have for the past year and a half. In the past, we haven't been able to give you some sound numbers like we can today. So we're pleased that over the last 12 months, we actually have numbers to give you more of what you were asking than the few other times that we've come before you. First, we're happy to report that 63% of our riders say that they only took their trip because of the ferry ride and that they wouldn't have visited otherwise. So that's a good number. 69% of our riders spend over $25 per person while in Clearwater, and 41% of those folks that they spend over $50, which is good for the economy and great for our growth. 39% of 2019 ridership made their reservation in advance, which tells us that they know what they're going to do when they're going to come. And for this reason, we are pleased to announce that we will be making all online reservations on December 16th. We're going to make all of our routes online reservations. We will, of course, still accept walk-ups the way that we've always done that. It just gives them an added benefit to know that if they're going to make the turn to park in downtown Clearwater, they know that for sure that they're going to have a seat on the boat. So that makes it easier for all of them. A little bit about our demographics. Off-season and in-season, we identify off-season being, of course, the time we are in now when the colder weather comes. We know that that lends itself to colder weather, which does make people want to be on the water necessarily. So basically, mid-February through September, Labor Day is what we call our in-season. After September through the following February is when we consider our off-season. In season, we are at 60% of our riders are locals. As we can imagine, we have less tourists here, so 68% of our riders are locals. In season, which begins again in late February, 56% of our riders are visitors. So we can see how that significantly flip-flops our riders. Employees still, unfortunately, as we all have discussed before, in our initial plan, we thought that having the ferry service would relieve a lot of our employee and hospitality, parking and traffic infrastructure issues that we have on Clearwater Beach. However, we have seen a decline in our employees that ride. We find that they are finding a way to park on North Beach. They're finding a way to, they find their way, of course. We live here, we find our way where to park. So that has been declining. We are actually, in season, we're about 10% of employees. Off season, it's less than 1% because there's ample parking for them. With their garage and everything, there's ample parking for them. We still are going forth with our conversations. The conversations have been really progressive with our biggest hoteliers. They're looking forward to spring and planning with us how their employees can come and come back and forth. But we still haven't seen it in our numbers yet. We're hoping to see it. We'll see what happens. And lastly, and with regard to ridership, a very important number. We are pleased to announce, it's only a couple more than in years past, but our average daily ridership, which is taking all of the months and all of the days that we're in operation and doing an average daily ridership, is 212 riders. So we feel like that's a significant number. And then lastly, I am very pleased in conversations in my involvement in the county, as well as at the state level. The county introduced me to a TA grant, which I'm very pleased that the city of Clearwater has some interest in. And that is for infrastructure that the city of Clearwater will of course own. It doesn't have anything to do with us as your servicer. We're happy to be your servicer. But we fully support your application for those funds, as they will be infrastructure needed for transportation services on the water. With that, that's my update. I'll take any questions.
Any questions of Ms. Rodriguez on her presentation? Mr. Hamilton?
Not necessarily for Trish, but for the application, what is the deadline on the application, and what is there matching?
He's going to make a presentation in a second.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
wait for his presentation.
Okay.
I don't have a question then.
Mr. Albritton?
One of the things that I wanted to, and you kind of touched on it, the employees there, because I was hoping there'd be a bigger impact on that, seeing how the parking situation on the beach, and are you talking with the hoteliers about doing some kind of underwriting for their employees?
We're in constant conversation. The trouble and I should say the challenge that we have is that the largest hoteliers that we can make the biggest impact for, they haven't closed their own parking garages. So what they do is they take their guest parking and they give it to their employees, which represents a significant number of usage that the biggest numbers drive in for the biggest hotels. So, and with the restaurants as well, they are carpooling, they're biking, they're finding other ways to do it. Either that or they're filling the parking lot. I'll use the marina, for example. We're in the marina, as you all know, we also own the Tropics Boat Tours. In the marina, as you are making all of the changes to your parking structure, which I absolutely support 100%. 70% of that marina is filled with employees. So, and those are the reasons why you're making those changes. I think we find that to be the challenge, is that they're finding a place to park.
Do you have a number for the amount of employees that work on Clearwater Beach?
When I did it 2 years ago, the number was just over 12,000. So now it would be higher.
Okay.
And that came directly from all of the establishments on the beach. We went to every restaurant, every bar, every hotel, all of them, to try and get the average number of employees per the size of their establishments.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chesney?
Ed Chesney, Marine and Aviation. I'll kind of pick up where Tricia left off. 3 years ago, when Clearwater Ferry first came to us, it was kind of like a pilot study, and we had hoped that it would succeed, and it has succeeded. And I'm very happy with Clearwater Ferry. They're literally no problem at all to me. What I always envisioned, and I think the city envisioned at one time, was ferry infrastructure. If we really were going to be a water transportation city, we would invest in some ferry infrastructure. And we've been doing pretty well at the marina. Both marinas service some ferry ports. We are behind the aquarium. We're at the beach rec center, but we're just using what we started our system with. And they work fine, but they're not the infrastructure that anybody would consider permanent. So there's a lot of moving around during events and such. The ferry's in our way at the marina, it's downtown during events. So there's a lot of problems with that. There's a lot of competition for where the ferry docks behind the aquarium at the rec center. But we've been working with that, and we've helped them all along. So Clearwater Ferry has brought to me this year 2 opportunities, albeit they were kind of late. There's been some House and Senate bills that I just found out in October, which we hadn't been tracking all year, so we kind of missed the window on that, and we're going to start next year in some sort of our work plan to start looking at those. But more importantly, on the local level, Forward Pinellas, has just at their November 13th meeting, they adopted their long-range plan. And in that long-range plan, I watched the video. Councilmember Albritton was there. They talked about ferry water transportation really as a footnote, and one of the members brought it up and wanted to make sure that it was included in the long-range plan. So there was a lot of discussion there, and when they voted, they made a point to say that yes, it would be included in the long-range plan, and some workshops would be underway in February and March. So I talked to Whit Blatton this week about the application deadline, which is next week. Friday the 13th is when the application for this grant application period. And I said, you know, I watched the video. I said, is it realistic that Clearwater could apply for a grant this year? And he said, well, yes, it is. I said, now I'm not sure how much we can apply for. In some sections it says there's 500,000, in another section it says up to 2 million. So I wasn't sure exactly how much we would apply for, but it was the idea of apply for based on what. So he assured me that this was the first year that this money had been available. You know, with the economy, there is money coming into the system, and next year they would be having another call for projects in August. And the biggest problem that they've had to date was matching funds. Everybody is looking for money, of course, for grants. So the more attractive your matching funds are, the more successful you're going to be. So in talking with him and understanding the grants, it's a transportation grant, similar to these 80-20 grants that we're used to. We've used them for many years at the air park. It's a very attractive way for us to get infrastructure. Some of the infrastructure we have now we wouldn't have had without these transportation grants. So I saw it as a real opportunity for us to maybe go after, say, $1 million with a match. Now I'd have to ask the city for the matching funds, so that's a $200,000 commitment. But there are also in-kind ways that we can reduce that. 20% of our 20% commitment can be done in kind. And with these transportation grants, where that's really important is a lot of people have ideas and plans, but they really don't have right-of-way to do these things, because transportation, whether it's off a road or a trail. So with the water transportation, we've already have city properties that could serve as ferry landings, and we own them and control them, so we can use that, that location for our in-kind services. So for example, if we were asking and got a $1 million grant, $200,000 commitment, $40,000 in kind, so $160,000 the city would invest. So for this cycle, I'm not comfortable with just asking for $1 million because we haven't done our due diligence. I need to look at some zoning things, environmental things, more of just, I'm very supportive of it, but I have to take it through the whole system at the city, through finance, through legal, what this grant would look like, what the commitments are. So in talking with Clearwater Ferry and talking with Forward Pinellas this week, I'm hopeful that we can apply for the grant in August and have that time prior to August to put it into our work plan and ask council to designate some funds. I don't know where they would come from. It's so fresh we haven't discussed that. So my thought is $1 million this year, and it's going to be available for subsequent years. The first year could be for planning, permitting, design, construction. So you could get $1 million this year, you could get $1 million next year, and to where you could actually start doing some infrastructure. So I'm looking to do some feasibility on some locations. Imagine Clearwater. What would a ferry landing look like down in the waterfront? We don't have that as part of the plan. What would Seminole, having some sort of a, between downtown and Seminole, when the park's under construction, we may not be able to operate the ferry out of the marina as we're doing now. So there's a lot of things that we need to look at, and I need to look at zoning and other things to make sure that these landings will fit where I'm thinking are good locations. And I haven't had the chance to share any of those locations with management or the council. I have several ideas. So I guess today I'm asking for the city to embrace the Forward Pinellas plan and take advantage of it in 2020, and let's start talking about what kind of a commitment we would get from the city.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's good.
okay.
I'm on board. I think it's definitely a good.
I mean, it sounds like from what you're saying, our application will be stronger if we do all of our work before time and be ready to go to construction right away, as opposed to just applying and not sure that we can start.
Yes, it would definitely be. I would almost just be uncomfortable just to submit something just to make a deadline next week. I wouldn't be uncomfortable with that.
Okay.
So.
All right.
One question.
Mr. Pope, please.
Mr. Chesney, when was the first time you heard about these grants? I know it came to us kind of late in notice. Did you hear about this because it's unfortunate, and I totally understand You've painted the picture very clear. This is a great program. We absolutely should be on top of this. But I'm disappointed we didn't get to do it this year. When did you first hear about this? I mean, because it was brought to
November.
This past November?
This November, yes. And it wasn't until it was, it was really, water transportation was a footnote in their long-range plan. I mean, they always talked about it somewhere, but it was never really discussed. So when you read the grant application, I was really having a hard time to satisfy what the requirements were for the application, because it was all for roadways, trails. They're having a workshop. They need to make a segue into water transportation in their grant application, and we'll see that next year.
Mr. Albert?
Yeah, it's becoming very popular, waterborne transit. So that was why it got put in there, because it's not only we're discussing it, it's being discussed all over, because it is a valid form of transportation. And in our situation, it certainly can help, and it already has. So it's a good thing, and if we can go ahead and move forward, I'm all in back of that.
And I think the other beach communities are looking at Clearwater as a success. I know the mayor of Dunedin is really strong for it, and some of the Bel Airs and the others. Watching that Forward Pinellas meeting on the 13th, you really saw the interest from the local leaders there, and they're looking, because Clearwater has had a ferry operating for 4 years now, and nobody's afraid of it, I would think, but we're actually.
Mr. Cundiff?
Yes, thank you. If the deadline is next week, do we know if anyone else, any of the other municipalities are applying for this money?
For water transportation?
Yes.
I do not know that. I do not suspect that anybody, possibly St. Pete, they have that Cross Bay ferry that they're doing, but I don't know if they're applying. Because the application was really let for other transportations with, like I said, a footnote on one page in the whole report that dealt with waterborne transportation.
My fear is if nobody applies for it, sometimes in the following years, they drop it because nobody applied for it last year. And so would we be in a worse shape if we waited for a year? And
I don't think so. I mean, we'd be waiting till August, but they're actually having workshops on the water transportation in February and March. That's what they had discussed at the meeting. When I talked to Forward Pinellas, there'll be more. It really just came to the surface at that meeting why it was not being looked at more strongly, and several of the beach communities were really asking, transportation. The intercoastal is a transportation artery, so I don't think it's going to hurt us. I think it'll benefit us, because then they'll actually refine what they're asking for and what they're looking for.
Okay.
I'm guessing this is a general transportation grant. So basically, even though we would be submitting an application for waterborne transportation, there's probably people applying for this money for other transportation options that are land-based. The waterborne element just came to light recently, correct?
Yes.
So there's probably people applying for the money.
Well, yeah, they're applying for the money, and with most of these grants, they try to spread the money around. They want to give some for trails, some for roadway, some, there's only so much available each year. But I think we're in a good position to put a very strong application together because of our success with operating the ferry now and our infrastructure locations that are already established.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any addition or corrections to the minutes of November the 11th?
Move to approve.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of November the 11th. All in favor say aye. Or November the 21st. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Anybody from the public wishing to speak to an item not on the agenda? If so, please come forward at this time. We would ask that you have a card filled out and then you give us your name.
Hi, my name is Mark Bunker, and the Tampa Bay Times recently wrote about a secret meeting between Scientology's leader David Miscavige and City Manager Bill Horn, Assistant City Manager Michael Delk, and City Attorney Pam Aiken to reestablish communications with Miscavige after he had cut off ties for 2 years with the city. During that time, Of course, LLCs using vast amounts of cash bought up virtually all of the remaining downtown property. And Ms. Cabbage asked for the talks, but the city felt that this was not the time for difficult questions like, who owns those properties? And what do you plan to do with them? Now, those don't seem like difficult questions to me. It seems like the only two questions that have to be asked and answered before anything else should move forward. Should we invest $64 million in Imagine Clearwater until we understand if Scientology is going to try to simply cash in on the improvements in a few years? Or do they just plan to derail its success and by keeping the buildings boarded up or turning it into more of their campus? I mean, we have to know that. You continue to treat Scientology like a partner, but they're not. They stab you in the back constantly. They've lost out on a piece of land that they wanted for a pool, and they went to war, viciously attacking the head of the aquarium who sold the land to the city for the park instead of to them. Who does that? Not a partner. Scientology has their own goal. It might help the city to think of their beautiful buildings down here as a foreign embassy from a faraway land, a land with its own laws, an internal justice system, with wealthy oligarchs who come to visit. A land of great wealth, yes, but an oppressed people with a ruthless leader at the top. You have to deal with that leader, that's true, but you're dealing with Putin, not the Pope. So watch your back and understand what you're getting into. Scientology has sucked the money and the life out of downtown for decades, leaving us to subsidize their activities. If they plan to keep these properties off the tax roll, we need to know. And I'm sorry that the Tampa Bay Times asks these pesky questions, but somebody has to be finding out what's going on and why. We deserve transparency. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public wishing to speak to an item not on the agenda?
Evening. I'll apologize to you for ambushing you on Tuesday, but it was a bigger crowd. I'm not here to talk about Scientologists. I'm here to bring up the charter review recommendation of 7 council members. I know we didn't get my name is Mike Reardon. We didn't get a vote on districts, a unanimous vote.
Ms. Aiken, excuse me 1 second, since that's on the agenda, can he speak now? Or?
That is on the agenda.
Oh, I thought the charter review was just being disbanded.
No, the actual
Okay, I read it wrong.
question going to referendum is on the agenda.
Oh, I thought it was just to release us. My bad.
We didn't move the second.
Anybody else from the public wishing to speak
You
to an
did
item not on the
That's true.
agenda?
Mayor, we did not move the 7 people forward to be put on the ballot, so
It's true.
it is not something for
Okay,
us to discuss.
okay.
That one didn't make it.
So you're still
Okay,
on.
if you talk about the 7 members.
Talk about the 7-member council.
My favorite show. Mike Reardon. During the Strong Mayor campaign, Mayor Criticos mentioned that we never, I think you said we didn't like to have a trial balloon, or there wasn't a land swell or real interest in going to a strong mayor. And it got on the ballot through not a petition or a big consensus from the community. But I think we should strongly consider districts still. And one of the motions that the charter review did pass was 7 members all at large. My recommendation was 7 districts, the residency requirement, and the mayor at large. But we did pass 7 members. And I know Mr. Hamilton said, well, I'm not going to go to 7 if we're not going to talk about districts. And I'm not saying jump into districts, and I mentioned this the other day, but I really think, we had the library meeting, and I don't want to use last names, but there was, I didn't ask him, but one, a Lisa, a Patrick, a Frank, a Karen, a Mr., well, you'll know his name if I say it, Mr. Santana, so he represents the Latino community, president, a Karen, a Zeb Atkinson, you all know well, so I'll say he's the president of the NAACP. And 3 or 4 other people, a Robert, a Howard, a Gary, a lot of people, everyone who came to that meeting wanted districts, not all exactly the same. The majority was 6 district members, and they didn't say whether the residency requirement, but they did say 6 and 1. There was a 4-2-1, there was a 5-1-1. I would really like you all to consider putting something out where the citizens could give us feedback. And if nobody says anything, or nobody votes, or everybody says, well, I'm against districts, but I really think it's time to consider districts in some form. And I know we spent a tremendous amount of time on it, and I don't think it's physically possible, because you all have to meet in the sunshine like we did, to have the in-depth conversations that our Charter Review Committee did. And I don't know if everybody was at the library, was at the West Library, East Library, but nobody came and said, yeah, or maybe one person said they were against districts. So I would appreciate it if you would, and I don't know the protocol, but really strongly consider getting feedback from the community at large. And maybe that would be something we could put, are you for districts, yes or no, or 5 questions on a referendum on a ballot. I don't know how much it costs to put something on a ballot. I don't want to waste money. I do know it would not cost much, that Mr. Predicos, Mayor Predicos, you mentioned, costs money. But the amount of money we're putting in to a lot of other projects, having 2 council members and maybe 2 staff, we look about $150,000 a year. So it's not the money we're used to spending on larger projects. And I don't think the small amount of money should stop us. But anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public wishing to speak to an item not on the agenda? If not, I will close public comment, move on to the consent agenda, items 7.1 through 7.7. Anybody from the public or council wishing to pull an item off the consent agenda, items 7.1 through 7.7?
Move approval of the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda, items 7.1 through 7.7. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.1, Mr. Horn.
Ordinance, approve the request from the owners of property addressed at 901 South Missouri Avenue and 1209 Jasmine Way, Clearwater, to vacate all of the platted alley abutting lots 6 and 7 of Block D as described in the plat titled McVeigh subdivision as recorded in Plat Book 30, page 83 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, and pass ordinance 9351-19 on first reading. Ms. Kivett.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tara Kivett, Engineering Director. This proposed alley vacation will give the property owner the ability to combine both parcels for potential future development. City stakeholders have reviewed this vacation request and there are no objections. Any questions?
Any questions of staff on agenda item 8.1? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 8.1? Motion?
Move approval of agenda item 8.1.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve agenda item 8.1. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9351-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating a 20-foot wide alley described as all of the platted alley abutting lots 6 and 7 of Block D as described in the plat titled McVeigh subdivision, as recorded in Plat Book 30, page 83 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
I move that we pass ordinance 9351-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9351-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.2, Mr. Horn.
Approve the annexation, initial future land use map designations of residential low, RL, and water drainage feature overlay, and initial zoning atlas designation of low medium density residential LMDR district for 1725 Owen Drive, and pass ordinances 9343-19, 9344-19, and 9345-19 on first reading. Ms. Clayton.
Good evening, Gina Clayton, Planning and Development Department. The parcel of land is occupied by a single-family home located on Owen Drive. and it is in an enclave and is contiguous to city boundaries on the east on one side. The applicant is requesting to annex this single-family home into the city in order to receive sanitary sewer and solid waste service. The property will continue to receive service for water from Pinellas County. Our department is proposing the property be designated residential low on the future land use map and also water drainage feature. There's an open ditch in the rear of the property, and we are proposing the property be zoned low medium density residential. There will be no adverse impacts on city services from this annexation, and it is consistent with the Comprehensive Plan and Community Development Code, and we're recommending approval.
Any questions of staff on 8.2? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 8.2?
It would have been nice if we had a copy of it because it's not in the agenda, so I have no clue what you're talking about.
Yes, ma'am. All the agendas are published online, and you have access to them online. If you have questions before time, you can call us and get that information. Ms. Aiken?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, all in, any
No,
other?
move to approve agenda item 8.2.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to approve agenda item 8.2. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Sprague.
Ordinance 9343-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real property located on the east side of Owen Drive, approximately 365 feet north of State Road 590, whose post office address is 1725 Owen Drive, Clearwater, Florida 33759, into the corporate limits of the city and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said addition, providing an effective date.
Move to pass ordinance 9343-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9343-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9344-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real property located on the east side of Owen Drive, approximately 365 feet north of State Road 590. His post office address is 1725 Owen Drive, Clearwater, Florida 33759, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as residential low, RL, and water drainage feature overlay, providing an effective date.
Move to pass ordinance 9344-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9344-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Sprague.
Ordinance 9345-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning outlets of the city by zoning certain real property located on the east side of Owen Drive, approximately 365 feet north of State Road 590, whose post office address is 1725 Owen Drive, Clearwater, Florida 33759, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as low-medium density residential, LMDR, providing an effective date.
I move that we pass ordinance 9345-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9345-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.1, second readings. Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9328-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real property located on the west side of the mall, approximately 570 feet south of Union Street. His post office address is 2048 The Mall, Clearwater, Florida 33755, into the corporate limits of the city and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said addition, providing an effective date.
Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 9.1? Motion?
Move to adopt ordinance 9328-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9328-19 on second reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.2, Ms. Sprague.
Ordinance 9329-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real property located on the west side of the mall, approximately 570 feet south of Union Street, whose post office address is 2048 The Mall, Clearwater, Florida, 33755, upon annexation into the city of Clearwater as residential urban, RU, providing an effective date.
I move to adopt ordinance 9329-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9329-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.3, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9330-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain real property located on the west side of the mall, approximately 570 feet south of Union Street. This post office address is 2048 The Mall, Clearwater, Florida, 33755, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as low-medium density residential, LMDR, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 9330-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9330-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.4, Ms. Sprague.
Ordinance 9331-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real property located generally on the south side of Avocado Drive, approximately 190 feet west of Calamondon Lane and 384 feet south of State Road 590, whose post office address is 2765 Avocado Drive, Clearwater, Florida, 33759, into the corporate limits of the city and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said addition, providing an effective date.
I move to adopt ordinance 9331-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9331-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.5, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9332-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real property located generally on the south side of Avocado Drive, approximately 190 feet west of Calamondine Lane, and 384 feet south of State Road 590, whose post office address is 2765 Avocado Drive, Clearwater, Florida 33759, upon annexation in the City of Clearwater as residential low RL, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 9332-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9332-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.6, Ms. Sprague.
Ordinance 9333-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain real property located generally on the south side of Avocado Drive, approximately 190 feet west of Calamondon Lane and 384 feet south of State Road 590, whose post office address is 2765 Avocado Drive, Clearwater, Florida, 33759, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater is low-medium density residential, LMDR, providing an effective date.
I move to adopt ordinance 9333-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9333-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.7, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9334-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real property located generally on the east side of Grove Drive, approximately 395 feet north of State Road 590. This post office address is 1717 Grove Drive, Clearwater, Florida 33759, into the corporate limits of the city and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said addition, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 9334-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9334-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.8, Ms. Sprague.
Ordinance 9335-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real property located generally on the east side of Grove Drive, approximately 395 feet north of State Road 590, whose post office address is 1717 Grove Drive, Clearwater, Florida 33759, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as residential low RL, providing an effective date.
I move that we adopt ordinance 9335-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9335-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.9, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9336-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain real property located generally on the east side of Grove Drive, approximately 395 feet north of State Road 590. This post office address is 1717 Grove Drive, Clearwater, Florida, 33759, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as low-medium density residential, LMDR, providing an effective date.
I move to adopt ordinance 9336-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9336-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.10, Ms. Sprague.
Ordinance 9340-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, making amendments to Beach by Design, a preliminary design for Clearwater Beach, and design guidelines by amending Section 8, Appendix B, Clearwater Marina District Boardwalk Design Guidelines and Specifications, to update the standards to which the public boardwalk must comply by amending the table of contents to update the effective date referenced for the guidelines and providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 9340-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9340-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.11, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9348-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, relating to the regulation of micromobility devices and motorized scooters, amending Code of Ordinances, Chapter 25, Public Transportation Carriers, Article 1, Public Conveyances, adding definitions of micromobility device, shared mobility device provider, motorized scooter, and sidewalk to Section 25.01, and amending definition of recreational vehicle to add micro-mobility device and motorized scooter, amending Section 25.02 to add regulations for operation of micro-mobility devices, amending Section 25.19 to add shared mobility device provider license requirements and allow for a pilot program, amending Section 25.20 to add penalties, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 9348-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9348-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? Council, I'm going to make a comment here, and more for clarification. Mr. Horn or maybe Mr. Smith, that y'all worked on this, where it says where I am not allowed to ride. It says Drew Street, NO from Myrtle Avenue to Missouri Avenue. Does that mean no, or does that mean north?
Where are you seeing that?
Where am I not allowed to ride?
No, okay, on Drew Street, you can't ride between Myrtle Avenue and Missouri on Drew Street, but you can between Osceola and
So should the
Myrtle.
word be no there or not, or, because like I say, I didn't know whether you meant a no there or a north.
I mean, we can clarify this. This is to guide us when
Yeah.
we do the RFP,
Yeah.
so yeah, we'll make that
Okay.
clear.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 10.1, Mr. Horn.
Thank you, Mayor. Accept a sidewalk easement over portions of lots 10, 11, and 12, Block 4 of Carter, Honecker, and Bears Lincoln Place addition to Clearwater as recovered in Plat Book 3, page 27 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, conveyed to the city by the property owner, and adopt Resolution 19-38 and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same. Ms. Kivett.
Thank you. Tara Kivett again. The subject easement provides for public use of the proposed sidewalk and provides the city rights for maintenance, repair, and replacement of the sidewalk as the vacant sites are developed for 2 single-family homes. Any questions?
Questions for staff on agenda item 10.1? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 10.1?
Move approval of agenda item 10.1.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve agenda item 10.1. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken.
Resolution number 19-38, a resolution of the City of Clearwater, Florida, accepting a sidewalk easement for Clearwater Neighborhood Housing, Inc. for the repair, maintenance, and replacement of a sidewalk at 1403, 1405 Roosevelt Avenue, Clearwater, Florida, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt Resolution 19-38.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt resolution 19-38. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 10.2, Mr. Horn.
Amend the Clearwater Code of Ordinances, Chapter 25, Public Transportation Carriers, Article 1, Public Conveyances, to define commercial megacycles and definitions, to establish standards for commercial megacycles, to require a license for commercial megacycles to be operated in the city, and to add penalties, and pass ordinance number 9356-20 on first reading. Mr. Howard.
Yes, the item that we have before you today is amending ordinance 9356-19 to allow a pilot program for megacycles in the downtown core area. I have attached a informational sheet very similar to what the micromobility scooter program informational sheet had, where it outlays the specific boundaries that the program will take place in, and also on specific roads. And this is based on previous discussion with council that we had back in August of this year, where it had been brought forth to you by numerous businesses that they had looked at possibly having a megacycle program. So we formed a internal team consisting of myself, Matt Smith, Gina Clayton from Planning, Traffic Operations, and Chief Slaughter, and we did extensive research on other municipalities throughout the state to see how they enacted their megacycle program. And we took from that specific set of programs a core examples, and then from those examples what we did is we defined it and broke it down on a further level to bring this ordinance before you to have a pilot program, which we will set on RFP for should you choose to have that done.
This is the real one.
Any questions of staff on agenda item 10.2?
I know.
But I saw his finger.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
You can go first.
Mr. Albritton.
Well, this is, I know we've had discussions, but this is for the pilot program just for the downtown, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, are we going to be discussing any other areas, or are we going to go through the pilot program first and then discuss other areas, if it seems to work?
What we brought forward is what you told us you supported.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to do. I mean, if
Okay.
you want us to go somewhere else, then you tell us to go somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Mr. Hamilton.
that's my question. Is it possible to amend the ordinance or just to add into the ordinance? Talking with parties that are interested in possibly doing this, I'm talking about the area on Clearwater Beach now. Don't get me wrong, the micromobility stuff out on the beach, the prospect of, those scooters jumping out in front of people right and left out on the beach is not something I'm interested in. This is an apparatus or a machine big enough that it's not going to jump out in front of anybody. It's it's a slower moving, but they're unique machines that and I think that if we're going to do a trial area, we ought to be willing to do a trial area on the south end of the beach, south of the roundabout, north of the Sandkey Bridge, because you could technically come up the beach walk area to the Wyndham and then back Coronado, and you can get over onto what's the other back street that's east of Coronado? Hamden. You could get on those streets going southbound. It's not going to impede traffic to a great deal. We have lots of different vehicles that park and deliver things along the way, so it's not uncommon for cars to go around and whatnot. So I don't think the north of the end of the beach is a good place right now, because the roundabout, I really don't want to see this vehicle in the roundabout. I think that's a disaster waiting to happen. But to do a pilot program and allow it on the south end of the beach and see how it works, I'd be amenable to something of that nature.
I think staff came back to us with the recommendation that we had given them.
Oh, I know.
And while I hear what you're saying, and I've talked to some people also, I can tell you that you've got traffic problems that you're not aware of on South Beach. And to single out South Beach for this pilot program, I don't think is the right thing to do either, because you've got Coronado Drive that's 3 lanes. 2 lanes are going in one direction, only 1 in the other. And more often than not, you've got vehicles parked on one of the lanes all day long, or at various times throughout the day, making deliveries. And I can tell you from experience that the parking there on Coronado, the traffic on Coronado and South Gulfview is as bad, if not worse, than on North Beach, where you have 2 lanes.
Well, I think Mandalay to me is not a problem, because you've got 2 lanes in each direction.
Yeah,
the problem is, I don't know how you turn around on North Beach without getting into the roundabout.
Well,
that's how
you could do it on one of the side streets and not go all the way to the roundabout. I mean, but I think staff gave us what we told them to give us. And before we go any further, I think we would need to have them research what these changes would mean, because I don't think staff, when they first came to us, said that the beach wasn't the right place to do it. And that's what we were saying.
Yeah, I think we were thinking about the roundabout.
And the bridge.
But we were talking,
yeah.
but we were also talking about the traffic, I mean, what complaint do we hear all the time? The traffic on Clearwater Beach. And it's not just the roundabout, it's getting to the roundabout, in both directions. You're out there on a Friday or Saturday night, and the traffic, at least on South Beach, more often than not, is backed up to the Sandkey Bridge. And you've got 1 lane. So, Mr. Pogler.
Thank you. I think what's frustrating for me is, we had the benefit of a few conversations early with a few potential operators that were interested in it. And we've all been here long enough to understand what our situation is in Clearwater Beach. And our first and foremost priority was safety. How do we take care of our citizens, our patrons, our visitors, our tourists? And what really seems ironic now that this discussion's further, and I've had the benefit of actually having the presentation by a potential operator and seeing how safe these things are. What's kind of really crazy for me is we've got Clearwater Beach where we allow these, I hate to name a company, Florida Fruit, where you got these weird, different kind of very low profile transportation options that are allowed everywhere. And if you look at a tourism industry, which is, that's what we're all about here, and to not consider another option or something that might be attractive to tourists if it could be done safely, if you can't do the bridges, obviously, you can't do the roundabouts. I just don't see how and I know this is what we sent staff back to do, but I now have the benefit of more information. And how do we allow all these other vehicles down there as a tourist amenity, but not something like this? This is what kind of bothers me in a free enterprise society where someone, is there or is there not a way? Initially, we all were unanimous in that, but I do have a few reservations now.
Let me try to answer that question.
It wasn't
okay?
really a question.
Well, but it was, because you're saying, why are we allowing these other vehicles?
Oh, okay.
Okay, those other vehicles are there to keep cars off the road. They're to give the tourists the opportunity to use for transportation as well as for entertainment, okay?
But are they any safer than... They're extremely low profile. I mean, they're like go-karts.
I understand that, but they don't have the same impact on traffic that a petacycle, I think, would have on traffic.
Speed or... We're not supposed to be speeding anywhere down
because
the beach.
they can go on the sidewalk, and a lot of them go on the sidewalk.
I don't think they're supposed to.
Well,
if they're
but
mechanized...
but they do. Mr. Horn.
Yeah, Mayor, when we gave you the memo was the basis upon which we were given direction to go and implement. You made no changes to the memo. But in the memo, which is attached to the agenda item, let me read this particular section that addresses what you all are talking about now. As a result of recent traffic studies, we have seen a consistent increase in the level of vehicular traffic on the beach during the summer months, in addition to our already busy spring season. Staff believes that megacycles on the beach will contribute to the already increased traffic congestion. It is the professional opinion of the staff that non-motorized vehicles should not be allowed to traverse the roundabout, thus limiting the megacycle's operational area on the beach. As a result of these findings, we do not recommend allowing megacycles on Clearwater Beach. That is the context of our recommendation relating to operating on Clearwater Beach. If you want to use other criteria, other considerations, then you certainly can do that. But I just wanted to make sure you all understood what our context was in making that recommendation.
Mr. Kondo.
It seems to me what you just read, the basis of it was the roundabout. And if we keep one vehicle on the South Beach and another vehicle on the North Beach and keep it off the roundabout, it's not going to go any slower than the other traffic there goes already. And if it turns before the roundabout on the North Beach, I think it's worth trying in a pilot program. If we find out it's not going to work, we can eliminate it. But one thing we're maybe, I don't know if whoever wants to put megacycles even wants to be downtown. And if they don't want to be downtown, maybe they want to be on the beach. That's a business decision, and I'm not sure that we should be kind of micro-mobility, managing deciding a business decision here when, as long as we can keep it off the roundabout.
Any other questions? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 10.2? Please come forward, make sure you have a card filled out, and you would have 3 minutes to speak.
Fill it after.
Do it right now, fill out the card.
You can speak and then fill it out.
Okay. Hi, my name's Clayton Irwin. I've talked to you guys many times and blown up your emails. Thank you for your time, by the way. I know I'm here mainly just to answer a lot of the questions about the mega bikes. These are not sidewalk bikes. These are size of a pickup truck. They're operating vehicles. They do have electric motors on them, so if they had to go up a bridge, they will never go on the roundabout or up a bridge, but if they had to, they can. These are very safe vehicles. They operate in major cities, tourist cities. all over the country. I mean, this is a huge franchise. This is a major franchise. It's not like just like selling these little go-karts and just say, hey, go. It's not like that. We're trained. There's a pilot program for the pilots that actually drive them. I had to go through extensive training in Minneapolis. I just got back from. It was major. I know these bikes inside and out. And I am 100% using my money. No partnership. Teresa Weber is going to be handling the financial end, and she's going to be my second in command. I am 100% going to make sure you guys are happy, because these bikes cost $65,000 a piece. And I'm going to operate with 2 to begin with. I'm not going to be having 10 bikes on the road. They're not going to hinder traffic. They're going to go with traffic. We're not going to stop anywhere. We're not like the delivery trucks. We will not stop anywhere. We're going to have designated parking spots. Like Salty's is going to have a spot for us. Shepherd's is going to have a spot for us. Holiday Inn's going to have a spot for us. We're going to have spots just for Pedal Pub, and they're going to make it just for us. So we're not going to be blocking traffic, slowing down traffic anyway. The only thing that, I'm going to make sure that you guys are going to say, hey, Clay, take these off the beach. I'm going to be 100%, you guys are, this is awesome. That's my goal. I'm behind it. I researched it. I've got thousands of dollars invested and months into this program. And this is the only place I'm focused on. I can bring it to the beach, to downtown Clearwater for special occasions. That's the only way I think it would work. Know Before and other companies are wanting me to bring it for corporate events. The hotels are super excited about it. I've got so much positive feedback on this before I even 100% committed to the bikes. And I said, all right, I'm in. And everybody on these things are very safe. We have a pilot that is very well trained. Our insurance is impeccable. I mean, it is top of the line. And if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
Anybody
else from the public wishing to speak?
I'll drop this off. Hi, I'm Mark Bunker, and I've looked at the website for this, and it looks like a lot of fun.
Mr. Irwin, before you leave, make sure you filled out a card, please.
That's what he's getting right now.
This looks like a ton of fun, and I'm fully supportive of it. Going into the roundabout, yeah, that would be a disaster, but operating on south or north side, that sounds great. There's plenty of side roads to take. And I've been stuck in that lousy traffic often. And I imagine I'll still be stuck in that traffic, but if I'm looking over and there's a bunch of happy people on one of these machines that are also miserable but with big smiling faces, I think that would entertain me in it itself, So I think it's a good idea.
Anybody else from the public wishing to speak to agenda item 10.2?
Good evening to all. I would say the proposal is a pilot program. And as a pilot program, much study has already been done on it. An area has been specified. I would like to see the council stick with the pilot program as defined in the agenda. Individuals can make special arrangements with certain organizations to have special parking spots, etc., where they can go and park. But that's not regulated, that's not forced upon anybody, and that leaves it up to the individual to negotiate that particular spot. Theoretically then, one could get a truck and not have those special arrangements and just drive up and down. We've all been in that traffic. That traffic can be horrific. If you have special arrangements where you can park someplace and conduct your business, I don't see how we would prohibit those people putting a vehicle in and driving to that location and opening up for business. So my position would be, there's already been much study already done on this particular item. It was the recommendation of the council to go in this direction. It is a pilot program. Let's stick with the plan. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public wishing to speak to agenda item 10.2? If not, I will close public comment and ask for, let's see, did we make a motion to approve agenda item 10 point? No, we didn't.
No, we don't have a motion yet.
So we'd have, if you want to go to the beach, we're going to have to amend it, Ms. Aiken?
Yes, sir. This ordinance does not allow the beach as an area.
So can we do that now, or do we need to come back with a new?
I would assume you would want to define that area, and we cannot do that right now.
Okay.
We can bring it back at the next meeting, as long as you tell us what area you want it to apply to.
Okay. So somebody,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Condon.
would a substitute motion be in order that would pass this ordinance in an entirety, except for the word on the second last page, Clearwater Beach?
No, because you want to identify where on Clearwater Beach you can go.
Yeah, I think you have to be a little more specific. Where on the beach?
Matt Smith, the city attorney's office. There's also another section that defines very specifically the pilot program parameters and what streets those are allowed on in section 25.21. So if you do give direction where you want the pilot program to be, that would have to be amended as well. I don't think it's just a simple process at this point.
And since you wanted to specify what area of Clearwater Beach, I think you need to tell us what area, and we'll bring it back that way.
So why don't we put this on our work session before our next work session so that y'all can think about what areas as opposed to doing it tonight?
I think we gave them kind of direction, one north, one south, no roundabout.
North of the roundabout, south of the roundabout, and not involved, the roundabout is off limits.
So that is your direction, north
I would
and
say.
south, not crossing through?
Correct.
Okay.
If the operator elects not to do the north end or not do, then they can, but it's available.
Okay. So the pilot program will give them 3 options: downtown, South Beach, North Beach.
Well, I think we give them 3 options, and then when we enter into an agreement to allow it, if we're exactly by program, we'll define at that time
I
what
understand.
areas he's interested in.
But those
They're
are the
interested in.
option areas.
Yes.
Okay.
Now the other fly in the ointment. Are we interested in addressing the ability to have alcohol on this vehicle? It is in other areas that it is used, other tourist areas and whatnot, it is a very common practice.
And that's probably going to surprise you, Mr. Hamilton, because I would say that I don't know that I would want to ride it if I didn't have alcohol on it.
And you're not a big drinker.
And that's
That surprises me.
And that's my problem with this. We are a tourist destination, but we promote ourselves as a family destination. Families are not going to use the pedal pub to go from bar to bar on Clearwater Beach. And I have the utmost confidence in Mr. Irwin. I consider him a friend. But he and I disagree. We're on opposite ends on this. I think that you are dismissing the impact that it's going to have on traffic on the beach a majority of the time.
Well, that's why the pilot program, if it shows that it is a definitive hindrance to traffic movement on the beach, we don't have to extend it beyond the...
But you know as well as I do, it's awfully hard to take away something that you've given.
Hard but not impossible.
But the very fact that we gave direction and now we're taking back our direction shows that it's not impossible. But anyway, we'll go forward, with what we're suggesting, and let's. I think our staff has also told us that alcohol is not recommended. I mean, the problems that it presents, because we don't allow alcohol on the beach proper. It becomes a bigger enforcement issue, and I think that, let's do one pilot at a time.
Or an open container
Yeah.
on the streets
Yeah,
as well.
is
Or vehicles.
against, or a vehicle is against,
I just, the original downtown plan, I wanted to see the pedal pub be able to come in, but I really had doubts that downtown would be a viable place for it. As long as they stay off the roundabout, I'm fine with the beach. I think they can do that, going from pub to pub, not necessarily drinking and make a good business out of that. So, I think we'll just discuss it at the next meeting and go from there.
Okay?
Okay, so no change to the ordinance that addresses alcohol. Just leave it as it
Not
is.
at the present time, we can address it at a later date if we need to.
I just wanted, because right now it's no.
Yeah.
So just want to make sure.
Ms. Aiken, are you okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Earl, we'll be having our next work session is December the 16th and council meeting December the 19th. Okay? And again, for you to understand, if we do this, it goes out to an RFP. There's no assurance that you would be, the person given the contract. Okay?
I just want to say one thing. Okay.
Thank you. Agenda item 11.1. Ms. Aiken. Or Mr. Horn, do you have anything further for us?
No, I do not.
Okay. 11.1, Ms. Aiken.
So approve referendum questions to appear on the ballot March 17th, 2020 regarding changes to the city charter, and pass ordinances 9353-19, 9354-19, and 9355-19 on first reading.
Questions for staff on agenda item 11.1? No. Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 11.1? Motion?
Move approval of agenda item 11.1.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve agenda item 11.1. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9353-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, submitting to the city electors proposed amendments to the city charter, amending section 2.01, D, 5, to increase the size of city-owned real property that may be donated or sold for less than fair market value to 5 acres for the purpose of workforce housing, to allow the donation or sale for less than fair market value of uneconomic remainders to adjacent property holders after a public hearing, providing an effective date.
Move that we pass ordinance 9353-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9353-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda, next ordinance.
Ordinance, yes.
You can do all of them, or? Okay.
Yeah. I'll give Nicole a break. Ordinance 9354-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, submitting to the city electors proposed amendments to the city charter, making non-substantive organizational amendments to the city charter, deleting section 2.01, D, 8 because it has expired, amending section 2.06C to be consistent with state law, amending section 3.03F to require the city manager to submit to the council a report on the state of the city every November, providing an effective date.
Move to pass ordinance 9354-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9354-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken again.
Ordinance number 9355-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, submitting to the city electors proposed amendments to the city charter, amending section 7.02, general provisions to require the council to appoint a charter review advisory committee at least every 8 years, providing an effective date.
Move to pass ordinance 9355-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9355-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken, do you have anything further for us?
No, sir.
Closing comments, Mr. Cundiff.
Yes, I'd like to celebrate good things, and including, Chris Hubbard is not here. It was his birthday this week. That wasn't really the good thing. He and I went to a factory here in Clearwater that's been here about 20 years or so, and it makes flavors. Monin, the Monin factory on Range Road. Company's over 100 years old, started in Bourges, France, and we are in the process of becoming a sister city with Bourges. Is that right? Yeah. And they have factories in many countries, and one of the reasons they came to Clearwater is because one of the generations had a house on Clearwater Beach. And so they decided to build a factory here. Plus, it's close to the ports, it's close to rail lines, close to the sugar that's available here in Florida. And a trivia question, which you'll guess the answer to already. I should have started with a trivia question. Where does Krispy Kreme donuts get their flavoring? From Monin. I was surprised when I read that on the wall in the factory this week when Chris and I went through it. Anyway, it's a great place. Green packaging and labeling. Boxes are 100% recycling, all sorts of good things. They hire some folks who have difficulty getting hired, folks on the autistic spectrum, and do a fantastic job there. And I think this past year they've had 20% growth in their output. And we applaud them among the many places in Clearwater we can applaud.
Mr. Poblaze.
Thank you. I'm gonna bring something up that it doesn't sit well with me. And so I wanted to, everybody's aware, it's been in the media as of yesterday, the recent separation of our Parks and Rec director, Kevin Dunbar. Most people only don't pay attention other than what they've read this past 3 or 4 months. Those are an unfortunate series of events. And I'm not trying to justify the actions or not justify the actions that were taken, but none of the good ever gets reported. And over the past 20 years, I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Dunbar since around 2004, myself personally. And everybody kind of focuses on the negatives that happened, and all of the money in Parks and Rec goes to sports tourism, which doesn't benefit any of the single residents. I want to remind everybody that the city of Clearwater, bar none, has the most recreational facilities and opportunities for its citizens than any city in the state of Florida. And when the county didn't step up to the plate to allow their residents in unincorporated, the city of Clearwater picked up that tab. The citizens picked up that tab at a higher rate. Unincorporated residents pay, but at least they have that opportunity. The city of Clearwater, the council supports city manager's direction, but it's all led by Mr. Dunbar. It's really just unfortunate that you get to this place where you're fair game. The city's fair game. It's really unfortunate, and I'm going to take another shot at the Times because here's my problem. I go to a grocery store with my wife occasionally, and I see the Enquirer, I see the Globe. To me, that's what the Times has become. They never report any of the positives, any of the good that's ever happened that any one individual department or individual does. Mr. Dunbar had this vision in the city of Clearwater that no child should ever drown. So with council's support, city manager's support, $10, I don't care who you are. If you don't have $10, you get your kid free swimming lessons. For anybody in the county, Did the Times ever report about that? No. So I just, this fair game policy where sensational news rules the day and it continually gets in our way of progress, I have a problem with. So it's unfortunate that we say goodbye to Mr. Dunbar under these circumstances without at least acknowledging all of the wonderful, great things that he's done for the citizens of Clearwater for the past 20 years. Thank you.
Mr. Albritton.
Well, I'd just like to say we had, this week we did our first presentations for the Imagine Clearwater and had great turnout in this room. And also we had at the Countryside Library last night, we had a good turnout there. If you haven't seen this presentation, you need to come see it because it's a three-dimensional presentation. It gives you a flyover and it gives you a pretty good idea of what this is going to look like when it's finished. And also the glasses that you wear that you can look around and see what the inside of the library is going to look like is really, really, really good. So we've got another one at the mall this weekend, Westfield.
We're at the Westfield Countryside Mall from 11 to 2, and then at North Greenwood on Tuesday evening from 6 to 8.
And if you can make any one of those, if you're at the mall this weekend, stop by. It's going to be as you go by. They'll have some monitors where you can actually see the flyovers of the park, and it's very, very impressive.
Mr. Hamilton.
I'm going to echo what Councilmember Polglase said. I was first elected in 2001. Kevin was the Parks and Recreation Director at that time. I knew him before I got elected. All the way up till now, I've done a lot of work and worked with him a lot. I consider him a very good friend, and he will continue to be a very good friend. I echo what Jay said about, while there were some unfortunate circumstances they are what they are, he also needs to be given every bit of credit for the quality of our Parks and Recreation Department overall. So, and he will always receive that respect from me. And I would invite, because we're talking about the Times, I would invite the Times to sit down with me and our audit department or whatever, and I want to see where the Times comes up with their number that we missed out on $280,000 in revenue on a ZZ Top concert, because I can tell you Ruth Eckerd Hall in a sold out night, 3,000 people, Ruth Eckerd Hall's fortunate if they clear about $8,000 in profit for that type of a concert. And when you're going to do 8,000 people in Coachman Park for ZZ Top, I'd love to know where $280,000 is supposed to come from. It's not there. It's not there. So, that may be, gross revenue, but it's not net. The net that the city got from the ZZ Top, while the accounting may not be as cut and dried as some people like to see it, the actual net we got is probably right about where we should have been for a concert of that size. So it's unfortunate, but I would love, I'll sit down with the Times anytime they want to sit and look at the figures, and they can explain to me their accounting process that says we missed out on $280,000. I just don't see it.
Well, on behalf of all of us, our Parks and Recreation Department is, one of our most visible departments. And Mr. Dunbar and all of the employees in the department have accomplished an awful lot. And we can be thankful to them, to him for his work over the years. And his statement in the Times, I think, was most appropriate, most appreciated, and all of us wish him well in the future. Want to remind everybody that on Friday, December the 6th, is Make It, Take It night at the Countryside Recreation Center from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Also, Friday at the Morningside Rec Center, December the 6th, is Friday Night Frenzy. This takes place from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. On Saturday, December the 7th, is one of our signature events, the Miracle on Cleveland Street, starting at 5 o'clock. This will be the 13th year between the 400 and 600 block of Cleveland Street. Winter Wonderland, falling snow in sunny Clearwater, ice skating, a holiday express train. You will have an opportunity to take pictures with Santa Claus, and we will have a tree lighting at Station Square Park. As was indicated earlier, on December the 7th at Countryside Mall, which is Saturday, we will have the Imagine Clearwater 30% drawings available from 11 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we will follow up on Wednesday, December the 10th, at the North Greenwood Recreation Center. I understand also from Mr. Delk, Mr. Horn, that we're working on a possible another meeting somewhere on the beach, if at all possible. I don't know. whether
Yes,
that has
we're,
been
and I think that
firmed up yet or not.
the meeting on the 10th is a Tuesday.
Is it 10th? Yes, the 10th, right, excuse me, the 10th
Tuesday
is
at 10th,
Tuesday,
and I'm
yeah.
sorry. And yes, we
Well,
are
I was looking
working
at
on.
you weren't nodding that I was wrong, so I was going with the Wednesday.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, yes. we're
Tuesday the
working on
10th,
it.
and we are working, excuse me, we are working on a meeting at, we're going to try to set something up at the Sailing Center during that week as well. So
Okay.
we'll be announcing that.
Okay. On Sunday, December the 8th, the annual 5K Santa and Suds Run will take place from downtown Clearwater over the Memorial Causeway and back. This run benefits the St. Vincent de Paul Society. On December the 14th, Saturday, we will have our downtown Clearwater Art Walk, followed by the holiday movie night featuring Elf at Station Square Park. Want to remind everybody also that on the 14th is the Island Estates Yacht Club Boat Parade. It starts off on Island Estates, winds through all the different fingers on Island Estates, comes by Coachman Park, and then goes over to South Beach and ends up at the Clearwater Yacht Club. Want to thank our police department. It worked with the International Association of Human Trafficking Investigators to have another conference here in Clearwater, and our parking department hosted the 40th annual convention of the Florida Parking and Transportation Association. It's going on this week at the Wyndham Hotel. Want to thank the West Coast Y Runners, the Tampa Bay Times, and all of the sponsors for the very successful Tampa Bay Turkey Trot, Tampa Bay Times Turkey Trot. What a great way to start the Thanksgiving holiday for all of us. December the 16th is our work session, and December the 19th is our council meeting. Thank you for spending some of your evening with us, and have a good holiday season as we approach the Christmas and New Year and Hanukkah. We are adjourned. Not too bad.